Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive into left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. My God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Bronson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right, 2-2. The Yankees pick up their second spring training victory today. They played the St. Louis Cardinals this afternoon. I was able to watch the beginning of it. So I did see the breakout third inning, but they won this game 7-0 against the Cardinals. Nolan Arenado, interestingly, made a 3-hour trip to play in this game. Does that mean something? I don't know. They asked him about it after. He laughed. Whatever. I would hope that the Yankees don't do something as silly as get Nolan Arenado. If you're going to make a trade, have it be for somebody who's still pretty good. And, you know, I like Willie Castro. Brendan Rodgers is off the market. I was saying you should have signed him. That's where we are. The Yankees just let everybody else go to, it seems like, either Boston, Tampa, or Houston. So it's 3 good markets to let free agents go to, or trade targets. Anyways, they won today. So, you know, I saw the third inning to put the game away. Dom Smith hit a home run. He almost had 2. But Dom Smith hits a home run at the top of the inning. Domínguez, Bellinger, Goldschmidt all pick up some RBIs. Austin Wells with a 2-run double up the middle in the inning. And then Andrew Velazquez, you know, former Yankee fan favorite for a couple of seconds a few years ago, picked up a 9th inning base hit to score a run. And so that was your final 7-0. On the pitching end, nobody too significant pitched outside of a guy I want to talk about. You did get some innings in relief from Mark Leiter. You got an inning from him. I'm interested to see how he looks in year 2. Gomez also pitched. I should mention, so there were a couple of guys. Gomez, you saw some of him. He could play a role this year. But mainly in this episode, I want to talk about one Yankee who started on the mound in this game, who I think could play a role this year. And Will Warren continues to look good this spring. He's pitched 5 innings, no runs so far. I know it's only spring, and I don't care, you know. And I'll say that I can't say enough at this point of how little I care of Will Warren's 5 starts that he had last year when he didn't look good. 6 starts maybe. I couldn't care less because it's 5 starts. I'm not looking at any of that. You know, I'm going to go off track for a second here. I sent a clip, right? I sent a clip of a Will Warren highlight from today's exhibition. It was a slider he threw to somebody, clipped the edge with it. I sent it to one of my buddies, and the response I get was spring training. And it just made me chuckle because, one of my goals, my personal goals as a baseball fan, as a podcaster who nobody listens to, one of my goals at the very beginning of the winter was for this year, for this season, I want to get back to where I used to be. And what I mean by that, I think as a whole, I think this is a problem with a lot of baseball fans. I would love to see us try and shift our focus from just results-based stats and dive deeper into the nuances of the game. And me personally, I want to get back to talking about the beauty of what this sport is. I want to get back to talking about the beauty of baseball. And I want one of my goals is to just dive deeper and talk about what I love about this game, the fundamentals, the intricacies of it, the creative strategies of it. And that's something I feel like I lost the last couple of seasons. It was just like, I come on here and I talk stats and I talk results and I talk if this guy can be good because of his previous results. Like, I don't want to just oversimplify it to that anymore. And I just want to get back to talking about the game I love. Because I remember growing up playing baseball on a team as a youth baseball player, as a high school varsity baseball player, all throughout my career as a baseball player. That's not what the conversations were at practice. We talked about players' swings. We talked about pitchers' arsenals and the pitch types. And is he locating? Is he throwing this pitch this way to this batter, righties, lefties? Like, we talked about the details of the game and not, we talked about the way they looked versus what I saw on the stat sheet. And I feel like we need to dive into that again. Dive more into the why as opposed to just the results. And I went off track there, as I said, but that's kind of where I'm going here with certain young Yankees and someone like Will Warren, where I don't, just because he wasn't good for 5 starts last year, that doesn't tell me anything about how he can be in the future. And I'm not sitting here and I'm not going to start telling you that Will Warren's going to be an ace. All right. But like, I will go as far as saying I want to see more. And this, again, we talked about this a couple of months ago here on the show. I like his stuff. Looking back and watching some of his film from the minor leagues over the last couple of years and even seeing some of his highlights from last year, I like the kid's stuff. I think he's got a deep pitch mix. He's got a lot of break on his pitches. They move well. All of his pitches, his 4-seam, his 2-seam, his sweeper, his changeup, they grade out above average with good spin and strong movement. So I think he's got some good stuff. I think he's got the stuff to get righties out. The 4-seam plays well against righties, but he's got that 2-seam slider pitch tunnel combo, which is a perfect combination to sequence with against right-handed batters. I think that's going to play up. He obviously needs to work on command and sequencing in order to get lefties out. And that's going to be the big key for him going into this season. He's had issues against lefties because of his location, right? And last year, a lot of the time, the changeup was outside of the zone too much. The 2-seam missed high in the zone a lot, which is not exactly where you want to miss with a pitch that can sink. And a lot of his issues because he needs to be less predictable, right? With the deep pitch mix, you want to see him diversify a little bit more. Go to the 4-seam earlier to set up your secondary pitches and put away counts. However, watching him today and reading a little bit more about him today, I learned that he used to throw a curveball when he was younger, when he was in high school. And he was mixing in the curveball today. We didn't see him throw the curve at all last year. But today he flashed the curveball a few times, all of them to lefties, which is very important, as we just talked about. He threw a couple of curves early in the count to Brendan Donovan. The second one was a pretty decent low and in curveball. And he threw another curve to Ciani, I think is how you pronounce his name. It was a curve that it was up and out. It wasn't a great pitch, but it did induce a soft pop-up. So I think that's going to be a key pitch for Will Warren in terms of him being more effective against lefties. He's got the that two-seam slider combination that he can go to against righties. But if you want to get lefties out, working that curve to complement the changeup, right? And basically today, he pitched 3 innings, no runs, no base runners. He struck out 4. Again, couldn't care less about the results, but it's what I liked, just stuff wise. I thought the 4-seamer was a weapon today. That's a pitch I've been looking at closely with Will Warren. He struck out 3 batters with the 4-seamer. He threw a 4-seamer 99 running in to get Mason Wynn. He threw 194 up over the zone to get Arenado. He had 3 total swings and misses with the 4-seam. And as I mentioned briefly at the top, his sweeper looked pretty good. Didn't throw it a ton, but he did generate a swing and miss, and he also picked up that called strikeout with it. It was a filthy pitch that clipped the edge. And if you're into like the analytics of it all, Pitching Ninja posted a clip of it. Ton of spin, ton of break. It had 3,291 RPMs to it. Anything over 3,000 is really good. And it had 20 inches of horizontal break. So, it's like a Jake Cousins sweeper right there. And we know how much I like Jake Cousins. But yeah, I think that's going to be key. I want to see how he looks against lefties. Using that curveball to neutralize left-handed bats, especially if you're a pitcher that's going to be pitching in Yankee Stadium. That's all. That's going to be what it's all about. It's 4-seam, 2-seam slider to righties, and curveball changeup to lefties. Right, fade that change away, keep that curve below the zone. But yeah, there's a lot to like about Will Warren. And it's not just Will Warren alone. Like, remember, this is relative. Like, we're comparing at this point Will Warren to Marcus Stroman. And I don't think there's a single human being out there that prefers, Marcus Stroman to have that role as the depth starter over Will Warren. Stroman, there's just nothing there anymore. There's no bag. He doesn't have any more movement on his pitches. There's no velocity. There's no spin on any of his breaking pitches. The way he pitches, he has to. If you watched him last year, like, he had Austin Wells set up outside the zone to go further outside the zone, because Marcus Stroman knows if he missed inside the zone and it came anywhere close to the barrel, that shit was a hard hit ball. He just doesn't have the bite on his stuff anymore to generate swing and miss and get consistent results. And when we're comparing him to someone like Will Warren, who is a 25-year-old top prospect, he's the Yankees' #1 pitching prospect. He's got great stuff. You're telling me Will Warren can't go out there, make a couple of spot starts, eat some innings and pitch to a 4.30 ERA like Stroman did last year? Not to mention doing it on arbitration money as opposed to making $18.5 in salary. That's better value. I would rather that. I think the kid's got some potential, and you're already hearing a lot of guys on this team with injuries, and Clark Schmidt, I don't know if he's going to be in jeopardy to start the season, but he is dealing with, I think, what they called it, cranky back. Was that Schmidt? I think Schmidt was the cranky back. And, pitchers go down all the time. The Yankees are not going to go through the season with 5 starters making 30 starts. So they are going to need a number 6, and I would love for that to be Will Warren. I think he's got the upside to it. A lot of people have been comparing him to a former Yankee who started his career similarly. And in Michael King, that's what I'm talking about. It wasn't a 5-start sample with King. I'm pretty sure King was bad for a little longer than that at the start of his Yankees career. But then he developed into a power reliever, and then he kind of took the opposite route that a lot of guys take, where he went from a reliever to a starter, and he thrived with the Padres last year. So maybe that's the same route Will Warren's going in. They are very similar in their mechanics. They're similar where they both got a deep pitch mix with a lot of good movement on their pitches. And I think Will Warren is an interesting prospect, to say the least. Again, I'll say it again. I'm not saying he's going to be an ace. We're talking about a number 6 starter here, guys. So if you think I'm being too high on Will Warren here, I don't know how you could think that, because a number 6 starter isn't really asking for much. But I'm just talking about somebody who can replace what you could get from Marcus Stroman. And if Marcus Stroman went out there last year, with the declining stuff that he's had, and he pitched to a 430, there's a very good chance it could be even worse this year. So I'm interested in him. I think I liked what I saw from him today. So the Yankees win this game 7-0 as we get closer and closer to the regular season. What are we at? 29 more days? Lost count, but we're getting close. So it is February 26th on a Wednesday as I record this, and I think that's all I have. So we'll cut this one short here. A little spring training recap, and let me know what you guys think. For those listening, or maybe you're watching, let me know what you think about Will Warren. Do you think Will Warren can play a role this year as that number 6 starter who will, I guess that means he'll pitch in the bullpen for a little bit, and when his name is called, he'll make those spot starts. What do you think about him? Do you think he's got this stuff? Do you think he can make a leap this year and develop into one of their better arms? Or I don't know. Let me know where you are on him. Let me know where you are on Marcus Stroman, because that's an interesting scenario that we've got going on, given that nobody seems to want him. Is he going to be here the rest? I don't know. I would hope that they figure this out before opening day. That would be brutal. We'll see. Appreciate you all. And that's it. Nothing else to add. We're not going to go to break. Not going to do any of that. We'll wrap it up right here in about 19 minutes. Appreciate you all. I'll see you soon. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.